Okay. So I started the recording and we're starting channel. Okay. So ladies, is everything comfortable and okay? Sound, the picture. Okay, nice. So let's get started and have 30 fruitful minutes. Let's say so. So ladies, today we're going to talk about something extremely important, one of the most important parts of our courses, teaching and learning process in general. So, and this is, oh, there's so many of us. I'm surprised, to be honest. Didn't expect. Yeah, and today we're talking about assessment. So, first of all, let's see if our students appreciate it and want to have it and like it. I asked my students if um, exams and tests and assessment are important for them, and I would like to share some answers with you. So this is what I asked, and let's check the answers. So students understand that it's a good chance to check what they know, to final test shows if I'm ready to study next level. So they understand that they check their knowledge and they need to know what they need to improve. They want to track their progress, reveal weak sides, as they called it, understand problems. It's motivation for us. Yeah, I've it's of course not all the answers that I got, and I have to tell you there are students of different levels, third, fourth, and fifth. And yeah, I've got an answer like that. So if we have a student with this motivation for the test, like what can we tell the student? Like, I don't need tests. I don't see why they're important for us. My idea is just we need to tell everything that other students told, why it's important. And besides, you can see the person said that the test is just guessing between a few variations of answers. I do believe the students probably didn't pass the final examination in Green Forest because actually they're open answers. So maybe they'll encounter something different very soon. So students understand why tests and assessments are important for them. Why are they important for us, teachers? Like basically not to feel like that in the end of the course, to keep track and realize and understand what our students need and where to move and where to stop, where to be freer, let's say so, and what to pay more attention to. And of course, in the end, we'll know our students. And so final examination will be only one small part of the whole course process of assessment. And the results of our students will not be a surprise for us. So how assessment and teaching are connected. So the name of the webinar is assessment and teaching. So simple as that. I do believe it's just a part of it. So if it's a part of it, it must happen on every level of teaching. So answering the question when and how, in what form assessment happens, I would say so that it happens on three levels. The lower one, it happens during every lesson in the form of feedbacks to speaking activities, writing, speeches, presentations, projects, and so on. I do believe, and I'm sure that feedbacks are also a type of assessment. Second level, I called it blocks, and it includes big revision tests. 3 of them, as we have during the course, and smaller tests between the big ones. I organize them and I have them between between this big, because I do believe that students need to be motivated a little bit more often. And the third level is like the course in general, and this is the final examination. Oh my gosh, and everybody starts to get nervous. But I do believe that we can reduce the stress, remembering that actually assessment and tests happen during all the course, and actually nothing new happens in the end of it. Whew, relief. Well, still, our students have these memories of the like previous experience from school, university. We're still stressed. So how to make our students' life less stressful? So the idea is very simple. We just need to let students get used to assessment, tests, feedbacks, and we just make it an inseparable part of the studying routine. So this final examination doesn't come as a surprise to us or to students or to anyone. So to make it a part of a routine, we need to plan it. We need to inform our students about it. So we don't have to, but not a bad idea. And so final examination shouldn't be much different from what students had saw and experienced during the course in general. How do I plan and inform students? Of course, with help of semester planning. Let me share with you my semester plan. So it's only like one part, just some small part. As you can see, I highlight the lessons where we have some tests or assessments and so on. I create the semester plan before the course, of course, and during the first or second lessons, I share this plan with my students. I don't keep it a secret, so they know very well what to expect and when. That's it, so they are informed. So how can we ensure this third one? Shouldn't be much different from what students had during the course. So I call this revision and preparation all the course long. So basically what we do during the whole course is just getting ready for real life and getting ready for our exam, which is actually somehow close to real life. In parts, if we speak about communication, and when we give writing, I suggest giving feedback together with the points and marks. Usually during the course, we just give writings, we give feedbacks as to mistakes, and we don't assess our students, we don't give any points. So the final examination writing task can be surprising. Like, I have these points, never had it before. Like, I thought I was worse or better or whatever. Why not? Just very simple. For example, you take 10 points as maximum, just any points as maximum. You can take 100% as maximum and give mark. As to reading and listening, personally, I add these type of tasks to our biggest and small revision tests during the course. In our book, we don't have them as a part of the test. We have only vocabulary, functional language, or grammar. So while assigning the tests, I also add some reading or listening tasks from other sources, of course. So just students get used to the fact that they have all different types of tasks during that test. Well, as to speaking one, this is personal communication, student-teacher, right? So how can we get ready for that? My students have the tasks when they record their spontaneous speech, and it's very important to be spontaneous at home, and send the recordings to me. I just check them like writing, given the feedback to mistakes and given some points. So maximum, let it be 10, and you have this. You have to improve this or that. Also, it's very important, I give my students time limit. So they just cannot speak as long as they want. And we understand why, but we'll speak about it later a little bit. As to the speaking to role play with partners, I also use recordings, but this time students practice in class. When they role play, they turn on the recordings and record their speeches. At home, they have to analyze them and write down the mistakes that they can hear, because yes, they hear their mistakes. They can analyze the speech, or there is a practice of referees, when two students role play and there is a third student who listens to them and plays the role of a teacher, giving feedback, monitoring the time, and given some points even. Speaking about grammar, so what we can do that we do during the examination. Well, one great complaint of students as to grammar examinations that it seems much more difficult, as there are different tasks, different topic tasks at once. During the course, we take one topic and we do the exercises connected with this topic, and students get used to that. And then suddenly, okay, we came to revision, and in revision, there are different tasks, but it's not enough. So I suggest giving this all topic tasks from time to time during the course. We let students justify their answers, just what they do during the final examination. So there is nothing new about that. They need to prove their point of view and identify grammar and justify it. We teach our students to give full answers, of course, from the very zero level. I also let my students do some practice tasks without writing them. Of course, not all of them, but still. So the focus of our grammar examination and just what students need is to speak, right? So I arranged some practice tasks in a form of pair work. When one student opens the keys, another student does the task. For example, there are 10 sentences, 5 is done by one student and checked by another, and then the rest vice versa. And of course, we focus on production. This is the main focus ever. Speaking, practice in real situations. Another question is, so we prepared our students for the exam. Well, actually, we didn't prepare them. We just taught them. And we came to the day. So do teachers need to prepare for the final tests and examination? Some time ago, we got used to the fact that examination day or test day is a day of relaxation, and we just come to the class, turn on the test, or just give the test and relax, because afterwards we will check it at home. So at the class we can do whatever we want. Now our life changed, and we do need to prepare for the final examination, for the final test. Yeah, well, first of all, we need to plan the time. We need to look through or actually read carefully the examination cards. We need to think how we want to arrange our students, who we want to ask first, next, and so on. What will other students do? I mean, some students answer questions and do the test, speak with you. What's going on with the rest of the class? I do not support the idea of letting students just pass the test for 15 minutes and go. They paid for this class, so I give them some communication activities. While some students have their test, other students have speaking club. So they don't waste this lesson. They do something useful for them. I asked my colleagues about the biggest problems that they encounter while conducting the final examination test. And there are 3 biggest problems, I would say. So that the examination is still subjective, that we lack time, and they're exhausting. Let's start with, I don't know, the easiest one. Exhausting. So they are exhausting. What can we do about that? Well, just deal with that. But we need to remember that our students highly appreciate the chance of communicating with us and having our feedbacks. And yeah, I do believe that we ourselves, we have this sense of achievement. We're close to our students. So yeah, it's exhausting, but it's worth it. I'd say so. Next, let's speak about time. So what can we do with time? Lack of time, let's say so. And I've got a couple of suggestions. So first of all, I suggest planning time, as I mentioned before, dividing the time according to the number of students, and it must be strict. So I know that I have this number of students. My class lasts 90 minutes, so every student has this number of minutes. And of course, I consider some warm up or some time for some extra things that might occur and happen. Of course, during the examination, I monitor the time and use timer. It's really helpful. And before the exam, during the whole course, I train my students for these time limits. So they know that they will not have all the time in the world. I give them such activities as 1-2 minute speeches, speaking for limited time. So they just deal with that. And they're okay that with the fact that during the exams, they don't have all the time in the world. So these are my suggestions about timing. Speaking about subjective, so tasks are still subjective. Well, yes. Still, I do believe that our new new approach to testing and assessing is much better than it used to be, and it's much more objective. The question about tests being subjective is basically in our head, psychological. So I've got some sentences or questions we need to tell ourselves before we assess other people in English. So we need to remember that we know our students and we have been listening to them all the semester long. We had these small tests, we had the writings, we had the speeches, we had this and that. And I hope you agree with me that there are almost never surprises. Like the person who studied hard will not suddenly like fail the test, and the students who did nothing, like nothing at all, they're very unlikely to get great results. We also need to believe and remember, not only believe, but remember and know that we are experienced language users. We're teachers, and yes, we do know the difference between elementary and intermediate, for example. Who else can know it but we? And the most important criteria in assessing our students, evaluating them during the final examination, let it be. So we communicate with the students and ask ourselves a question. If we see the same student on the next level, will we say, oh, yeah, it's definitely this level, let it be upper intermediate. For some reason, during the first lesson of a semester, we can easily say, this person, yes, should be somewhere else. And unfortunately, we forget about this, our ability to estimate students during the final examination. So maybe we're afraid to offend people, but it's not what they came for. They want our honest opinion, most of them. I'm still positive about that. All right. So we've prepared students, we've dealt with the examination, and then, not yet. Let's speak about how we assess still grammar, as there are some small criteria. Of course, the biggest one, we know who is who still. This is what my 80 points include. So all the tasks in the test must be done correctly, obvious. open the brackets, choose correct options, everything is correct. Then grammar is recognized and the usage is justified. So students understand why this grammar is used. It's not just random pick. Next. Students can easily use this grammar in conversation, confidently, fluently, according to their level, and clearly, according to the level. How do we know if they can use it? Asking follow-up questions, or even while the justification. If you don't ask follow-up questions, you can hear it from the justification of the answer. Sometimes it's enough. And also pay attention to pronunciation. It must be according to the level. And yeah, I assess it during the grammar exam because we speak and I listen to the person. And for me also mistakes value differs. For example, if the second level student says she know it, it's one type of mistake, let's say so. And when they say when she will do it, it's like mistaken conditional sentence. It's some other points. Of course, if the students makes a mistake in grammar previous levels, I take more points from them, and I think it's just fair. And you know, my students know about that. So all of the students should know about all these criteria. They must be informed. They must know about it during the course. And the bottom line is that grammar exam is just another speaking exam. And students must know about that. Not only should, they must know about it. Well, this is about grammar. Speaking of, how do they know about that? So this is a part of the file of the document I sent to my students before the examination. This is for intermediate and upper intermediate. They're almost the same. So I give the information about how I estimate. Like you see, a correctly done question, 3 points. The justification of the answer, +1. No mistakes given, justification, +1. +5 points for fluency. So, and also there is an information about the different value of mistakes. So it's not surprise for them. And also I give some interpretation of the points and my recommendation. Do you have any questions about that? I heard some noise. All right. Speaking about communication exam, I do believe there are no problems with reading and listening. They're just done. What about speaking? How do we assess speaking? Well, almost the same criteria as assessing grammar. Of course, you assess grammar. Yeah, we pay a little bit more attention to the vocabulary and functional language used, but still it is almost the same. It is speaking, their ability to express themselves clearly according to the level they claim to be or want to be. As to writing, writing for me is almost the same as speaking, but together with all the vocabulary, correct grammar, we assess spelling in style and form depending on the form and the style of the writing itself. And again, of course, we don't keep secrets from our students. They must know about this thing. And it's not it. It's not like, so we assessed our students, we gave them points, and we let them go. It's not enough. The very, very last stage of assessment, of assessing our students, is what I called the verdict, is actually the feedback. The feedback. So when you communicate with your students and you give them recommendation, I send my students this document where they can find the interpretation of the points, what they mean, and so on. But still, we are people and we want to look at each other. We want to speak eye to eye, and students want our honest opinion because, we are the only people who can we can give them. If we're still afraid that we can't be objective, yeah, we can keep track of our students' progress during the course. So this is a table, like small part of a table I create at the beginning of the course and complete during the course, where I put all the information of students' results during the course. Yeah, you see there are different tests and the students' results, or some additional tasks if students did them or not. And let's look at this line. The student 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. If the student even disagrees with some not very positive results, I'm sorry, yeah. So it cannot be subjective. So it will not lie. This is his or her work during the course. Or look at the last line, for example. 9 from 10, 98, plus, 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 plus. It's obvious that in the end of the course, the student will be just great. And by the way, do we have a right like to give some present to such student? Of course, yes. My present to this group or to these groups was I allowed these great students not to take one part of speaking, the role play. I knew they would do just great. Actually, I asked them if they want to have it or not, like because some students just I need to check myself. They said no, it's stressful anyway. They wouldn't surprise me. Everything would be great. And again, I saved some time. Well, being honest with students and yourself. So this is the verdict. This is the bottom line. I would also like to share the answer to another question that I asked my students before I started to prepare for the webinar. The question was, what do you think of the exams and tests in Green Forest? Grammar and communication. I meant the form, length, way of assessing, and would you like to improve them anyhow? So this is the first answer that I got. I like them. They're not really huge, but still you can be sure that your mistakes will be caught and discussed, as you can explain your opinion and why you have chosen this answer, not another. Also, you always have feedback about your mistakes, which is really important to me. And there are answers like that, communication with teacher, feedbacks, it's great, and so on and so forth. Just for us to know that we are doing great. Ladies, if you happen to have any questions, I'm ready to answer them. No, you're so serious.
May I ask?
Yes.
I've been using this approach of giving feedback after final grammar lesson, test lesson, and some of my students have been disappointed. They even got angry about why my point is so low, why it is so different from another student. So how do you deal with this? Because sometimes I feel that it's not even necessary to explain to them because they get so disappointed.
So I deal with that with the help of this during the course assessment. And even my grammar course students, they receive this recording their speech as tasks. So we didn't have any writings, but I asked them to record their speech and gave their feedback. And to be honest, it wasn't that much different from the result during the final examination.
Yeah. Okay, so make them get used to being assessed.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Also, and I would also ask you one, because even though I also plan timing for each student during the final exam, during speaking, I still have people who feel so worried, and I myself am not sure if they are like B or C in the end, and they just get so nervous and they take so long to create an answer that the time is up. but basically they haven't said much to assess.
Okay, isn't it like the evidence of their level already?
Kind of.
I mean, it doesn't matter how nervous we are. Still, if we have some level, our nerves cannot interfere that much with how we perform.
True, because I feel kind of bad and kind of sorry for that person, so I tend to give them just a little bit more time to at least say something, to express at least some idea. And then, of course, it gets me into trouble with all of the timing shifts.
So during the feedback, you can speak about that with this. So you just need to say, okay, I have so many of your classmates, I need to deal with them. But during the feedback, you have a time. Okay, were you that nervous, or can I ask you some additional questions, or do you disagree with my estimation? Something like that.
Yeah.
Because during the feedback, students, of course, are less nervous. It's not the examination anymore. Yeah.
True. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I also have one question.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so I'm a junior teacher, so I just try to understand like the idea of these tests. And I've noticed like an extra notes in our notes book and with the block tests and so on. So I just try to understand where should I use it. And I mean, in my plan during the lesson as a warm-up, after the revision, before the revision, because there are a lot of tasks, for example, like 6 tasks. So I just try to understand if it will be enough time, if it is enough time for them to do this block test for the warm-up, or where should I put it?
Speaking about block tests, because they're big indeed, I tend to give them as a part of the home task. So I dedicate the whole lesson to revision, the whole lesson, and then these block test goes as a home task.
Okay.
Speaking about smaller tests, you can dedicate like 15 minutes or so during the lesson. Actually, you can divide them somehow. When you assign them, you can delete some tasks if you don't like them.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, and Nadia, you had a question as well.
Yeah, going back to what Ira said about these worried or even weaker students, yeah, we understand, we can see their level, but on the other hand, they might not have enough time to justify each of their answers in the test. And I feel that it would be hard to say that your level is not enough to go to the next level, because they can say, I haven't given all the answers, how can you assess me?
No, so I warn my students that we might not answer all the questions. So, and you monitor it during the assessment in the process. If you see that you lack time, look at the questions that choose the questions that would prove or show you more than others.
Okay, thank you. And one more thing, do you ask them to complete the test and you can see their answers, or do you discuss each answer with them when you consider?
I create, like, starting with level intermediate, I don't assign any tasks. I just create the cards based on the test that we have. And when students come to me in the room or in offline class, I give them the card and they start doing the test on the go.
Without any preparation?
Without any preparation, yeah.
And what about lower levels?
Yes, I give them time. Actually, the class is divided into 3 parts. One part is examination part, where students communicate with me. Another part is preparation part, and another third part is speaking club part. So there, of course, my planning is much more sophisticated than. All the students go to speaking speaking class part. Then I invite some students to the preparation part. They prepare for some time. Then I invite them to speak with me, one student, and invite one student to preparation part. So we have this, line like on factory or something. So do you understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah, and in this way, like each student has the same time for preparation. They don't spend the whole lesson.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
a great idea. Yeah, and one more thing about communication exams. Do you divide like them like one lesson for reading and listening, and other for speaking and writing?
Yeah. I do that. So I divide it like that. One lesson for writing, listening, and reading. Yeah, and another lesson for speaking.
And how does it work when, for example, you got 12 students and all 12 of them should take speaking during one lesson?
Yeah. When we have more time during the first part, when with this writing and so on, there's still some time. So I start asking some students during this lesson, usually stronger.
Yeah, and do they warn them that stronger students will take all the tests?
So they are not warned that they are stronger students, but they're warned that they might take this part of the examination earlier. Yeah. I communicate a lot with my students. I tell them everything. I keep no secrets from them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have a similar question that Nadia has asked about when we assign, for example, block test 1 communication as homework, which is better to do, to take the option like show the results, or I mean, my question is how can a teacher then give feedback to students if I see only answer like F, B, or A? How is it better?
Okay, so in this way, I take like students see their mistakes, then they come to the class, they discuss the mistakes with partners, and after some time, after the discussion, I take show the correct answers.
But they can already see the answers, or you don't?
No. I take only see the mistakes. Yep.
Thank you.
And when I tick shows the correct answers, they restart the test, and then they will see not only the mistakes but also the correct answers. As we have like 3 ticks there. Yeah. Ladies, you're asking so interesting questions. To be honest, yeah. Is there any?
Yeah, I just recall the situation. I had a student. Like she was great at taking correct answers. All these block tests were like 100%. Like home writings were great. I don't know who performed that, but on the spot communication was terrible. And like even this, like during the semester assessment wouldn't prove her that she isn't good enough to go to the next level because everything was great. And how to deal with such situation?
Yeah, we always focus that like the biggest and the main idea, the main task is to be confident speakers, fluent speakers. So just learning all the vocabulary and functional language and theory of grammar doesn't make us fluent. So, and this is what we're going to estimate, and this is #1 priority.
Okay, and I would like to ask a question. So talking about this assessment, so while students are answering the questions, so do you participate in that, or you are just listening to them?
Well,
I do just their opinion, because very often I can see that sometimes like I really want to to interrupt. I want to say something to help like this, and sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't do that. So what is better, just let them, and then when the final lesson is, you give the feedback, or you may do this during the test?
I can help them somehow, or just to lead them somewhere, but still I tell and they know that they will hear about all their mistakes and all their performance during the feedback.
The feedback. So usually the feedback is like the next lesson, right? It's not after the speak. Okay,
Yes,
thank
yes.
you.
Because still I worry about time. Unlimited and feedbacks, you cannot plan how much time you will give to the feedback.
Yep.
So yeah. And thank you, Oksana. You wanted to ask something?
I have a question about actually assessment of reading and listening for lower levels. Yes. So sometimes they read the question and they don't understand it correctly somehow, and they write it not correct. But when you talk to them and ask them, and like they understand everything fine, yeah, and they answer correctly, and this is like, what should I do? Like,
I give half.
Okay, I do the same, but I was worrying, like, what do you do in this situation? Yeah, and I say them that I give you half because, like, here you have like wrong answer, and here you have the correct one, and I'm a bit of a confused, like, okay.
Eventually, some students want to pass some international tests like IELTS or TOEFL. Nobody will play games with them during this test. What you answered is your answer. So you have to be careful during So, and now you have this privilege of explaining me. So here you go with a half of the point.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. Maybe it's strict, but well.
This is life like that.
Yeah, right. Anything else, ladies? Okay.
No,
So,
no.
thanks a lot for coming today. It was really, really, really nice to see so many people listening. Have a great day.
Thank you very much. Have a great day too.
Have a great assessment. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.